Well, happy Tuesday, which feels like a Monday because of the long weekend. So, this weekend, I had posted a couple of questions up on Facebook talking about what we should or perhaps should not be teaching in special education. So, the reason I bring up this hot topic of what should and what should not be taught in special education is because you guys will hear me say this a lot of times we are focused on like the 1980s version of special education, meaning I'm seeing goals in IEPs right now that I saw in my brother's IEP way back in the 80s. And all of those skills are not necessarily relevant for what needs to be prioritized to ensure that every child is prepared for further education, employment, independent living. For those of you that are new here, I am always referring to that. That is the purpose and findings of Ideal Law. I am not a lawyer. However, I am a special needs sibling. I am a certified special education teacher. And for the last 20 years, I've been working for you, parents, teachers, admins, therapists, helping you build IEPs that work in the real world. Now, if we're going to build IEPs that work in the real world, that means that we have to consider what is happening in our world right now and what is most likely going to happen in the future. So when we do things like focus on counting pennies or coins inside of an IEP, we are truly not taking into consideration where our currency is going in the future. So here's the thing. Whenever I say that, people get really upset. They're like, but my child needs to know the value of money. So we have to teach coins. Those two things don't always go together. I absolutely 100% want your child to have as much financial literacy as possible. I do not want to limit your child from learning skills like coins. However, I do not recommend that counting pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters should be a priority in the IEP where a teacher is taking her time and the student is taking their time, which, by the way, they have limited time together, and focusing on counting pennies as the foundation of financial literacy or the foundation of learning budgeting, or not moving on to things like knowing about dollars or greater than, less than, or rounding or estimating or multiplication, right? Like, hey, I've got, 12 people coming to my house and these come in packs of 4s. How many packs do I need? Right? I don't want to stop a child from learning independence with money because they cannot count pennies or recognize the penny, nickel, dime, and quarter. Do you see the difference in that? Does it need to be an IEP goal, penny, nickels, dimes, and quarters, or can that be part of financial literacy that is taught as a whole, but we measure something different inside of the IEP as an IEP goal? Do we need to take data on penny, nickels, dimes, and quarters, or do we need to take data on something else that could provide a bigger and better foundation for a child being independent with their money? So you have to think about what skills might be in your child or your students' IEPs that are based on how the world used to work versus how the world works now and is going forward. Our curriculum in general, not just special education, our curriculum in general is behind the times a lot in our schools when it comes to any skills. Okay, a lot of times we are learning skills that are not necessarily a priority. However, I have zero control over the curriculum that's chosen at a school to use. However, if you are a special education teacher, if you are a parent whose child has an IEP, you 100% have the ability to customize what is being focused on during the day, what is being focused on for taking data, what is being prioritized in that child's day, because that IEP trumps the general curriculum that everybody else has to learn. Now, again, that puts some people on fire. They say, but why should my child be different? Or I want them to learn everything everybody else is learning. I'm not saying that they can't. I'm saying let's be really smart about what is put into the IEP and what we are taking data on. I want to encourage you that if you're like, yes, now how do I do this? How do I make sure that we are building an IEP for the real world? Number one, you can always put comments below here. I read the comments. I'm in the comments. I'll answer questions. Number two, I want you to head over to masteriepcoach.com. Master IEP coaches are the idea bringers, solution finders, and team builders at the IEP table, and you can become a master IEP coach. Some people become a master IEP coach because they want to help themselves. They're a teacher, a parent, they're currently sitting at the IEP, and they just want things to be better at the IEP tables that they're already sitting at. Some people become master IEP coaches because they want to help themselves and they want to help others. Whichever one you choose, the Master IEP Coach Mentorship is open for enrollment. And we do cover IEP goal writing for the real world. What I'm not going to tell you how to do is how to write a SMART goal. You can Google that. I'm going to teach you the things that you need to think about in a different way than a Google search of how to create an IEP that truly prepares a child for further education, employment, independent living. So 2 things. Number 1, you got a question, leave it below. Number 2, if you're ready to become a Master IEP coach, or even if you're curious, hop over to masteriepcoach.com and I'll see you over there.